Have you ever felt like you're just running on a hamster wheel? You know you're capable of more, but somehow you just feel stuck in the same spot. Well, what if I told you the answer to getting unstuck isn't some huge dramatic life overhaul? It's actually in the small, almost invisible habits you do every single day. Today, we're going to break down 10 of those habits that can literally rewire your brain for a completely different future.
And this quote just nails it, right? The life you have right now, it's not some random accident. It's a direct reflection of your daily habits, how you think, how you act, how you show up. The key isn't waiting around for the right time to magically appear. It's about building a better system for yourself, starting today.
So if that question hits home for you, listen up. The problem isn't that you're broken, not at all. It's just that your daily habits might be working against you instead of for you. Think of them like software running in the background of your mind, and right now, it might be time for a serious upgrade.
So where do we even begin? Well, the very first pillar is all about taking back control of your day. This is about making a fundamental shift from living in reaction to living with intention, and it all starts the moment you wake up.
Every day, you're really choosing between two paths. And let's be honest, most of us, by default, live on the right side of this screen, in total reaction mode. Your phone buzzes, emails flood in, and before you know it, the day is controlling you. The other side, the left side, is about intention. It means you decide your focus before the world's noise can decide it for you. You're building a future, not just repeating the past.
And getting started is way simpler than you might think. It really just boils down to these two foundational habits. First, waking up with a clear purpose, and second, planning your most important moves before all the chaos and distractions of the day can pull you off course.
You know, purpose isn't some magical feeling you have to wait for. Nope, it's a decision. When you wake up, instead of immediately grabbing your phone, just ask yourself this one simple question. What am I building today? That single question gives you a why, a reason, and that reason provides way more fuel than motivation ever could. Okay, but controlling your schedule, that's only half the battle. Once you start getting your external world in order, the focus has to turn inward. And that brings us to our second pillar, mastering your inner world, your thoughts and your energy. This, right here, is where the deepest, most profound rewiring really happens. So how do you master this internal state? It really comes down to three practical habits. First, you've got to change the way you talk to yourself. Second, you have to strategically protect your energy. And third, you need to commit to sharpening your mind every single day.
Let's start with self-talk, because this is huge. There's a critical difference between discipline and disrespect. The voice of discipline, that's the one on the left. It holds you to a higher standard because it truly believes in what you're capable of. The voice of disrespect, on the right, well, that just tears you down. So you got to ask yourself, which one is running the show in your head?
This is such a critical mindset shift. We're all taught that progress means adding more to our plate, right? But real growth, as this quote says, often comes from subtraction, from getting rid of what drains you. Saying no to draining tasks or negative people isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's how you create the space you need to actually grow.
And protecting your energy also means protecting your mind from getting, well, stale. If you're not actively learning, you're basically operating with outdated thinking, and you end up repeating the same mistakes over and over. Just committing to learning one new thing a day keeps your mind sharp and makes sure you're constantly evolving.
Okay, this brings us to our final pillar, and honestly, it's the most important one. All the great intentions and inner work in the world don't mean a thing without execution. This is all about the discipline of action.
Just let that sink in for a second. It's not failure that we should be afraid of. It's hesitation. It's that little voice inside that says, I'm too tired, or I'll get to it tomorrow. That delay, that tiny pause, that's where progress goes to die. And that hesitation? It actually has a name, resistance. It's that internal friction you feel when your mind craves comfort but your soul is screaming for growth. It is the invisible wall standing between who you are right now and who you could become.
So how do you consistently break through that wall of resistance? Well, here's a simple three-step path. It starts with speed. Just act before your excuses have time to catch up. Then it's about follow-through. Finish what you start and build integrity with yourself. And finally, it's just about repetition, doing it over and over until that conscious effort becomes an unconscious habit.
And that second step is so important. Every single time you finish a task, it doesn't matter how small, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're building evidence that you're someone who follows through. That consistency builds self-trust, and slowly, it raises your standard for everything else in your life.
All right, we've covered the 3 big pillars: controlling your day, mastering your inner world, and taking disciplined action. But the goal here isn't just to give you information, it's to spark a transformation. So let's make this real. Here's how you can start rewiring your mindset today.
Look, you don't have to tackle all 10 habits at once. In fact, please don't. The real key is to pick just one single habit from this list that you apply consistently. That's it. That one thing will create a noticeable shift in your life. Just start with one.
And always remember, this is a long game. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Real, lasting change doesn't happen in some massive overnight leap. It's built day by day, choice by choice, until this new way of being just becomes your new normal.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought. Forget your to-do list for a minute. Instead, I want you to think about your to-build list. When you open your eyes tomorrow morning, what single brick will you lay for the future you actually want to create?